Mr. Benavides.
Check. Happy New Year, everybody.
We might want to wait because we don't have quorum yet. She's not sworn in yet.
We can wait a few minutes.
My fault.
Please?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
We're
you.
gonna pause for just a few minutes.
Yes.
Is there nothing right now?
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Apologize for the delay, but we are ready to get started. Mr. Martin? Ms.
Can we
Erica?
roll call?
Oh, yeah, let's do roll call, starting on my right with Mr. Obel.
Ruben Obel?
Troy Whittemore.
Derek Benavides.
Vanessa Castillo.
We have a quorum.
Yes. Notice of a public meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5, the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meeting Act. Notice is hereby given that the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, has scheduled a regular meeting on Thursday, January 9th, 2020, at 5:30 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Old Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas, 78520. One, updates and comments?
There really isn't any, just very quickly. An email was sent out to you guys for the noon meeting that we're going to be having for the code rewrite on
23rd.
January 23rd with the consultants. So that would be basically the only comment that we have.
It was January 23rd
Yes.
at noon.
Yes.
Oh, that was at noon. Okay. And we have enough confirmed for that meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Item number 2, administration of oath of office and statement of appointed officer for new member.
I, Vanessa Castillo, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Brownsville, Cameron County of the State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. I, Vanessa Castillo, do solemnly affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation thereof, so help me God.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Item number 3, approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on December 5th, 2019.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Troy, and a second from Mr. Galansky. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Item number
passes.
4, public hearing and action, Paseo Residencial Subdivision Section 1, final plat.
Yes, as I mentioned, item number 4 has been found incomplete.
Okay. Item is incomplete. Do I have a motion? to find
Motion to
incomplete?
find it incomplete.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 5, public hearing and action, Queensland Subdivision Section 3, final plat.
So, as I mentioned to you prior to the meeting, items 5 through 8 have all been found complete.
I so moved
Find them,
to close
find them complete.
We have a motion by Mr. Galansky to find,
the public hearing. no?
to close, well, do we have to have public on this? This,
No, it's
No,
not
we
for
don't- yeah.
subdivisions.
Okay, so to move to complete the,
Okay.
complete the 4 to 4, 5, 6, and 8.
okay, I have a motion from Mr. Galansky to find 5 through 8 complete. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 9.
Item number 9, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019, 040, to rezone from dwelling G to light retail G to apartment H for 0.2496 acre of land out of the south 20.122 acres of Block 19, El Jardín subdivision in Tract 33, Share 19, Espiritu Santo Grant, and a 0.017 acre of land out of Lot 1, Block 1, amending plat of Canyon Valley subdivision replat located at 2732 Old Port Isabel Road, Brownsville, Texas, 78521.
So this property has a total of 0.266 acres of land. The proposed use is apartments, and the applicant is looking to rezone to apartment H. If you recall, this case has been on the agenda previously. As per your request, since we did have opposition from a neighbor saying that to his consideration, the applicant was rezoning what was his property. There has been litigation. We have the finalized court order, and city attorney has allowed us to proceed with the case. So they are now able to continue the motion now that we have the final court order.
So the folks that were trying to.
This is the elderly? Okay.
Yeah, so they were not able to locate any deed that proved that the land was theirs.
Correct. The applicant was able to prove that all of the land is his.
Okay, and so just to be clear, I'm sorry, Vanessa, you weren't here for this one. This was an ongoing one. So just to be clear, though, and our recommendation, I believe the last one, I think it was 2 months ago, was that let the courts handle it.
Correct.
And then we would, because there's no point in us making a ruling on it before the courts even have a chance to see it. So the courts did see it, courts made a ruling.
Right.
And then.
The final court order was provided to city attorney. They reviewed it and they said it was okay to proceed.
Okay,
So, as previously mentioned in the past, there is dwelling to the vicinity of the property. There is light retail, there's general retail, and apartment zoning. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 35 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is an aerial view of the property. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Staff does support this rezoning from dwelling G, light retail G, to apartment H.
okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody from the public that would like to comment on this, please come forward, state your name at the podium.
Good evening, Eddie Lucio here on behalf of Brownsville Business Group. I'm the attorney that was assisting the Brownsville Business Group with this dispute involving the gentleman by the name of Jose Armando Mendoza. Mr. Mendoza and his family appeared here and made some, well, I guess, which are actually defamatory statements about my client. My client basically encroaching upon his land and trespassing upon his land. Through me, at first through himself, my client, and then through me, before Mr. Mendoza showed up here, we were trying to explain to him that the land did not belong to him. What Mr. Mendoza actually did was he then fenced my client's land and would not allow him to access his land. We provided him several times copies of the documents to show otherwise. We, at my client's expense, in terms of filing fees, court costs, had to initiate a suit against him. He eventually hired his own counsel. His counsel explained to him what the documents were, showing him that my client clearly, not disputed, was the owner of the land. Once it was explained to him by his own counsel, he basically walked into court, apologized, said he didn't understand. He signed an agreed order, basically saying he had no longer had any opposition to any of this. He apologized to my clients, to his family, because he also made accusations against my client's family trespassing upon his land. What he basically needed was an explanation from somebody independent to show him that this was my client's land. Part of the order also was that he agreed, and which he signed, and which he provided to the city's council, was that he has no opposition whatsoever to the application for rezoning that my client has filed. So I just wanted to make those comments of what happened, what transpired, what happened in court, how it was resolved, because these comments that were made about Mr. Menchaca and his company, Brownsville Business Group, are being made out in public, and they were completely false, and we just wanted to make sure that we dispel that notion that he in any way trespassed on this gentleman's land.
No problem. No problem.
Then it's all right to proceed,
Yep.
we have to just vote what it is and what it is.
Yeah, awesome. But thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for that explanation, and best of luck to Brownsville Business Group.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, any other comments regarding this item? If not, I will entertain a motion to close public.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion and a second. All in favor to close public comment, say aye.
Aye.
All right, do I have a motion on the table?
Move to approve.
approve the rezoning. I have a motion to approve the rezoning. I have a second from Mr. Obel. All in favor, say aye.
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 All against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Best of luck to you guys.
Item number 10, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019-067, to rezone from general retail F to general retail G for Lot 2, Block 242, Brownsville Original Town Site, Cameron County, Texas, located at 744 East Ringgold Street, Brownsville, Texas, 78520.
This property consists of 0.1377 acre. The proposed use is for a duplex, and the property is fronting East Ringgold Street. The applicant is looking to rezone the area district to be able to accommodate the use. This is an aerial view of the property. There is single family to the east and to the south. There is also commercial business to the north and the west. The predominant zoning within the area is general retail. There is also dwelling within the area as well as light industrial. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 34 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is a street view of the property. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Staff to support this rezone from general retail F to general retail G.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody that has any comments regarding this item, please come forward.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
I have a motion and a second to close public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve based on staff's recommendation.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Item number 11, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019, 068S, to allow apartments and apartment use in dwelling G for Lot 26, Block 1, Central Pay Subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, located at 2521 Old Port Isabel Road, Brownsville, Texas, 78526.
So the applicant for this property is requesting to allow apartments on a property that is currently zoned dwelling G. This property has 0.72 acres and the proposed use is apartments. The property is fronting on Port Isabel Road. This is the aerial view of the property. To the west, there's single family dwelling. To the north, there's single family dwelling and commercial business. And there is also apartment within the vicinity. As you can see, there's a variety of different types of zoning within the area. There is dwelling, general retail, medium commercial, and light commercial. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 18 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is a street view of the property. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. I do want to point out that even though this application began as a specific use permit by the applicant, it was recommended by staff to turn this into a rezoning, given that there is also other apartment uses within the area, and there's already a variety of zoning within proximity of this property. So staff is recommending to support a rezone from dwelling G to apartment G to be able to accommodate the use that the applicant is requesting.
0.77 acres, and that's how many, what are they proposing? How many?
So G would allow them to put 12.5 units per acre. They're basically asking for 6 units, I believe.
6?
Yes.
Is there enough parking spaces for 6?
Yes,
Yeah.
so they're above
Yeah.
the size of the property would allow them more than 6.
Okay.
They're just capping it.
It would
right at
allow
that.
like about, what, about 9, 9.5, 10,
It would be 9.
9? Yes. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If there's any comments regarding this item, we are on item 11, right? 11?
Yes.
Yes, item 11. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close the public hearing?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of closing public comment, say aye.
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 Someone to approve?
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Golonsky.
Second.
I second that.
I have a second from, it's gonna go to Vanessa. Sorry,
in
Ruben.
there. Jump in there.
Second from Ms. Vanessa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item number 12, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019-069, to rezone from dwelling Z to light commercial Z for 19.631 acres of land out of a 66.70 acre tract consisting of part of blocks 45 and 55, Palo Alto Grove subdivision, number 1, Share 22, Espiritu Santo Grant, located near Old Dallas Road, Brownsville, Texas 78575.
So this applicant is looking to keep the same area district. They're just wanting to change the use district from dwelling to light commercial to be able to accommodate a construction company and equipment storage. Their company currently exists in a different location. They just wanted to transfer it to this property. This property has 19.631 acres and it's fronting Old Dallas Road. This is an aerial view of the property. There's a lot of undeveloped land within the area. There's also the correctional facility to the north. There's also the Cameron County just built a maintenance facility directly abutting this property. And the subdivision Villa Los Pinos is to the west. And the sports park is also to the south. So within this area, there is dwelling, there's light commercial, general retail, light retail, and apartment zoning. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 12 mailouts and 0 written opposition. Here's an aerial of the property again.
What are they gonna do with it? They're just rezoning it?
So the current zoning, which is dwelling, would only allow a residence as of this moment, but rezoning it to the use district that they're requesting would allow them to have their construction company operating there. So it would be the same type of zoning that the county facility has directly to the north of them.
Okay.
Did we, I know the dispute last year was that we had rezoned that entire tract just to the south of that to be residential, and it was a CDCB project. And then we had the industrial corridor that they wanted to, GBIC was trying to rezone the entire complex out, or everything out there, basically turn it industrial. Do we know, has that been settled? I know the last I heard was that CDCB was gonna be selling
Selling it.
Supposedly they're gonna build now.
So,
If I'm correct, the CDCB is continuing their development.
To build, right?
Yes.
so then that would be, because that was where some of the strife that we came across last time was that we had just approved that massive subdivision for CDCB, and then GBIC wanted to do the industrial, and then but the last that and they spoke here, they both did, GBIC and CDCB, that they were in the process of selling the land off. GBIC was gonna buy the land.
Right.
But yeah, that was where. So as of right now, that project for CDCB is still continuing, is what we understand, and that's where I would have. Well, let's finish up public comment, but I'll discuss my comments later.
Okay, so this request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Staff supports this rezone from dwelling Z to light commercial Z, 5CZ.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If there's any comments, we are on number 12. Please come forward and state your name.
Make a motion to close the public
I have a
hearing.
motion to close public. Do I have a second?
I do.
Second from Mr. Galonsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve.
Hold up. I gotta. My issue with this is the same thing that we came across last time, which was when both CDCB and GBIC left here, they told us that they were in the negotiations for GBIC buying the land from CDCB to scratch the entire subdivision project so that that whole corridor would then go industrial. But it didn't happen. So as of right now, we still have, we, P&Z, still have approved that massive subdivision, and where at last time we said, okay, no, we're not gonna approve this, especially this rating of industrial, because they could essentially put a concrete plant, leather tanning, right?
They offered to buy CDCB out.
Yes,
But they didn't.
but they didn't.
So now CDCB is coming back and they're gonna build the houses there.
Yes, and so my concern would be that we just approved we at this point, we've still just approved this massive subdivision to go in, and again, we're getting another industrial type of facility that's gonna be going in right next to a lot of single-family housing. And so from
And the school.
and a school, yeah. So we got an idea school that was, I think Idea or Frontier or something like that was still planning on going out there.
Idea?
Yeah. Yeah, that was still on the table, you're right. I had forgotten about that. So from my perspective, unless the, well, and even then, we've closed public, and we didn't hear from the people that are the applicants on this. But my vote on this would be to either deny or table it to allow the applicant to come back and explain what's going on in this, because I don't feel comfortable.
Okay, you make a motion.
Well, I don't want to make, I can't, I don't want to, I'd rather let you guys make the motion rather than myself make the
I made a
motion.
motion and it'll die, if there's no second, it'll die for lack of a second.
Yeah.
Then you can make the motion. Okay?
No, I'm not gonna make a motion.
I can go ahead and make the motion to table it.
Yeah, I would support
Okay.
that, Derek. We've heard about that, and I don't want the same thing happening again.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion from Vanessa and a second from Ruben to table this item.
What's the, on the table, how long does it take to come back?
Well, in this case, you're tabling it because of a concern, so we could do it as you've done in the past. You can put a parameter, or sort of like you did the one on Old Port Isabel, that you said it won't come back until.
And I'll make a motion to deny it.
And then, but if it's a motion to deny, then they've got to
You were
reapprove.
the one that wanted to deny it. anyway.
No, I'm not saying deny it. I'm saying give the applicant a chance to explain, because at this point, I don't.
We're supposed to be here.
Well, I believe the applicant is here. So
Okay,
Okay.
so, well, we closed public already.
you can reopen it, I mean,
Okay,
just,
unless, I mean, I'll reopen if you guys would like a chance to explain. So I'll file a motion to reopen public comment.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, public comment, go ahead and come on forward and state your name. Sure.
Hi, sir.
How you all doing? The reason
Please state your name, I'm sorry.
My name is Abel Gonzalez. I'm with,
Nice to
I represent the Family Limited, Gonzalez Limited Partnership, and I'm with the G&T Paving Company. I've been with this company for over 50 years on the city, and I want to relocate my company up there. Since I bought this property from the county, and the county was going to build a warehouse at that time there, which they were already building. And I was next to them in order to build my own company there. And I don't see no difference on the corner, the same block of land next to me. You all give permission to the county to do the same thing I'm going to do. So,
I don't remember, I don't know if I was here for that.
okay.
Yeah.
So what is the difference?
Probably at that time, it must have been out of the city limits when they gave
What?
it to the county, you know?
It would have been-
I wasn't here neither.
He's saying that it would have been,
Oh.
at that time, it was outside city limits when that was probably approved.
No, it wasn't outside the limit because I already find out about that.
Yeah, and
It
so
was
some.
about
like
a
something-
year ago, year and a
Yeah,
half,
a year ago, then it's
2017,
2017.
I believe.
2017, okay.
So,
So if you understood the issue that we were talking about earlier is that it had been presented to us before that, last year, that CDCB was gonna be putting in a massive subdivision. And right after that, we had GBIC that was wanting to rezone the entire area around and to the north of this subdivision to go heavy industrial. And so we voted against that just because the fact that we didn't, as a commission at that time, the majority didn't want to approve I think it was a 5CJ or 5C industrial to go right, to be literally across the street from a subdivision that would in turn, in any city would hinder the sales of these single-family housing. And so that was our only concern. And as the last time that we had that conversation, we weren't sure who was going to be selling to who, and so that was the issue that we had.
well, I'm next to
I'm sorry?
I'm next to the county there, and
Yeah.
I bought the land from the county and for that purpose, and now you're gonna leave me out?
No, we're not gonna leave it out. I'm gonna make a motion to approve it, but you're gonna have to fence it around.
Oh, yes, it's fenced already.
I second that.
It's already fenced, and I'm next to the other county. I mean, the same acreage, the same amount of acres.
Just, fence, we have to probably specify what kind of fence.
Hold on, we're gonna go back to the original here, because I originally made the motion to approve. So we need to settle that, and if I don't get a second, it dies for a lack of a second, then we can go, right? Because my original motion was to approve. Then we started a dialogue. Are you guys following me?
But there
on-
was no second,
There was no
right?
second, yeah.
So it died because of lack of motion.
Okay.
If I can go back, you know,
So you can make another motion and
just before, Mr. Chairman, what exactly is your reservation, just to be clear?
That we as a commission had approved a very large single-family subdivision and is still, to my knowledge, and based on the knowledge also that Mr. Golonsky is providing, that it is still going through. So we still have that zoning approved for single-family housing. And now we were being approached by GBIC, and then now we're being approached by this applicant to rezone this to heavy industrial that would allow for concrete companies, leather tanning, all these types of, and they could tell the rest of it
Mine is not
right
gonna
across.
be a conflict.
No. That's not what he's asking, what he's asking. He provides, he makes streets, he paves and all that.
I totally understand as far as what the company does, but if you can, Martin, if you can tell us, what does this zoning allow up to?
excuse me. Right, so we just want to point out a few things. The use that the applicant is proposing, it's not considered industrial through our definitions. He is applying for fifth commercial. The uses that you're talking about, concrete plants, chemical
industrial.
plants.
So that's not, okay,
No,
that's
that's
my
not- that's
misunderstanding.
commercial.
Okay,
Uses such as the ones you mentioned require ninth commercial, which is what GBIC was trying to rezone the property that's within the vicinity of the single-family subdivision. That's what they were trying to rezone it. Now, I would also like to mention that GBIC was there before CDCB. CDCB purchased the land with the knowledge that GBIC was there and that could potentially someday rezone that property, and they still went ahead and purchased the land. So, yes, right now, the rezoning that you guys had approved last year, or the year before that, in 2018, It has been finally approved by City Commission. CDCB is moving forward with the single-family project, but still with the knowledge of the potential use that's gonna be, that may come in the near future, or maybe even longer, on the property that's directly to the east. Now, going back to what the gentleman's trying to establish on his property, as I mentioned, it's not considered an industrial use. It's
Okay.
only fifth commercial.
Staff supports this, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we do
Okay.
support it.
It's like
So just so that and I apologize, I misunderstood that. I thought that it was gonna be the heavy industrial.
No.
Please do me a favor and just clarify for me, what is the limits up to on the fifth commercial then?
Basically, the construction
What they're-
company, basically the offices of the construction company and the
limits.
storage of his equipment.
And don't get me wrong, Mr. Gonzalez. I know GT Paving very well. You guys are friggin' fantastic. You guys have done great by our community. You guys are amazing. We love you guys, or at least I'll speak on my behalf. It's nothing personal, but it's we just got to make sure that we're doing dotting I's, crossing T's. So then yes, I apologize, gentlemen, ladies. I apologize. I misunderstood that that it was going to be going heavy industrial. I did not realize. I apologize. I must have misread it or didn't see it properly. But it is going fifth commercial. Yeah.
These tractors, trucks and all that, and all I asked for just to have a fence around it, probably.
So now can we go back to my original?
Yes.
Original motion? Make a
Yes.
motion to approve based on staff's recommendation, and you'll put a fence?
They're gonna,
Naturally.
yeah, they're gonna have to anyways, yeah, yeah.
If you're going to be recommending a fence, our suggestion would be to do basically a conditional overlay saying, we'll approve it with the condition that he just
Do you
fences.
guys oppose to that,
The
sir?
state, the county don't have a fence, I'm on a fence
Well,
around.
the county doesn't mean nothing,
But
but like
I'm
I
on a
said,
fence around it.
because they were gonna make some hundreds of homes down there, just to look nice.
I understand, but I ain't gonna put 7 feet of fence. I'm gonna put the fence around my property, the 19 acres. It's
Okay.
already a fence already.
Okay. Do I have a second? Oh,
So
okay.
Can you repeat your motion?
I make a motion to approve based on staff's recommendation with the conditional overlay of a fence, perimeter fence.
And I
Thanks.
second the motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve based on the conditions. All in favor? Aye. All against? No nays? Motion carries.
Happy New Year, guys.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Good luck on moving out there. Yeah.
Item number 13, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019, 070, to rezone from general retail F to general retail G for Lot 5, Block 95, Brownsville Original Town Site, Cameron County, Texas, located at 1012 East Jefferson Street, Brownsville, Texas, 78520.
So the applicant is looking to rezone the area district for this property from F to G. This property has 0.14 acre and the proposed use is a duplex. It is fronting East Jefferson Street. Here's an aerial view of the property. There's commercial business, single-family dwelling. There's also some apartments within the area. The area is predominantly general retail. There's also apartment and medium retail within the vicinity. This is the 200-foot buffer map. There were 29 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is the street view of the property. This request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Staff does support this rezone from general retail F to general retail G.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Any comments regarding this item? All right, I will entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion to close public comment. Do I have a motion? Motion to close. Motion, do I have a second? Second for Mr. Galonsky. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, and do I have a motion regarding this item?
You don't recommend that?
Staff recommends.
Staff does support,
recommends.
yes.
I so move to approve it.
All right, I've got a motion to approve, and I have a second. Second from Mr. Robel. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Item number 14, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019, 071, to rezone from general retail F to general retail H for lots 8 through 21, block 64, tract 1, Hardin's addition to the city of Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas, located at 1230 South Expressway 7783, Brownsville, Texas 78520.
So the applicant for this case was looking to also rezone the area district from F to H. The current use district is general retail. Their proposed use is a mixed-use plaza, so basically what they're gonna be doing is they're going to have a two-story building. The second story is going to be residential, or for residential purposes, and the first floor is gonna be for typical businesses. As of right now, from what they have mentioned, it's going to be an inspection station on one end and also a vehicle registration office. So the other suites are still up in the air as to what the use may be. This property has 0.49 acre, and the property is fronting South Expressway 77. So this is an aerial view of the property. There is single family directly to the south. There is commercial business, and there is also multifamily within the area. The predominant zoning is general retail. There is also light industrial and apartment zoning. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 38 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is a street view. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Staff does support this rezone from general retail F to general retail H. I do want to point out, we did meet with the developer because staff did have some concerns, especially because of the inspection station use. We just wanted to provide some sort out the concern regarding noise complaints or potential noise complaints for the residential properties that are directly to the south. Since it's an inspection station, they will be honking their horn periodically in order to check that it's working.
It's right close to the expressway.
Yeah, it isn't, now, inspection station for
vehicles.
regular vehicles. This is not an 18-wheeler?
No.
Okay,
No.
yeah. Yeah, you're right there by the expressway. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If there's any comments regarding this item, please come forward.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public comment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Do I have a motion?
Approve.
A motion to approve by Mr. Glonsky.
I'll second that.
I have a second from Mrs. Vanessa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item number 15, public hearing and action on ordinance number 235, 2019, 072, to rezone from apartment J to general retail J for lot 7, block 82, Brownsville Original Town Site, Cameron County, Texas, located at 603 East Washington Street, Brownsville, Texas 78520.
So the applicant is looking to change the use district for this property from apartment to general retail. Area district is to remain the same. This property has 0.14 acre, and the proposed use is a snack shop. This property is fronting East Washington Street. This is the aerial view of the property. There is commercial business predominantly in the area. There is also single-family dwelling. There is also multifamily, and there's a church nearby.
What church?
There is, can't remember. It's on the corner of Elizabeth and 6th Street. It's
Okay.
Elizabeth and Street, it's the Iglesia, I forgot, used to be the good, if it's Elizabeth and 6th, that was the old Good Shepherd
Yes, but now
church.
it's the
Yeah.
Gonzalez is the pastor.
Yeah, I think it's a Presbyterian church. Okay.
What do they want?
It's going to be a snack shop. Basically, it's going to be fast food snacks. People just go and purchase,
And where
Raspas.
would this be?
It's on the corner lot, on Washington and Sixth Street.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Corner of Washington and Sixth. Okay, give the
So
street.
right behind BBUB Bank,
Okay.
Yeah,
the Compass Bank.
But wasn't there like a school or something on the corner?
That's the
It's a
school's-
vacant property right now,
Oh, it's vacant right now?
yes.
The school's directly across Elizabeth from that church. I forget what kind of school it is, but we had
Yeah,
approved last year
like-
a soccer field.
Does it have, is it gonna have enough parking for people to drive in and out and all that stuff?
Well, that would be, basically, it would be reviewed through the site review process. Our combinations plans examiners would review the plans and determine if there is enough parking based on the square footage of the building. But, that would be something that they would definitely have to comply with.
Okay, then I'll also move to approve it.
Hold on, we still gotta do public.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we have 2 slides left.
Yeah,
So the zoning within the area, there's a variety of zoning. There is apartments, there's general retail, medium retail, and professional office.
Yes, no, but like I said, if you have people coming to buy stuff and they in and out, that's a lot of traffic.
well, they're gonna have to, the site review, what he's saying, the site review is gonna still have to approve that regarding,
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion.
hold on, he has to still finish presenting.
Just one more slide.
Yeah,
This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 28 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is the street view of the property.
I can't remember that.
The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan.
Can you
Staff,
put that thing back on?
which one?
Yeah, I don't remember that. Man, that many trees.
All right,
Is that next to the Troyani office?
yes. So staff does support this rezone from apartment J to general retail J.
it's a vacant lot right now, so
Yes.
regardless, so they're gonna have to get it approved as far as the ingress egress. Yeah. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Are there any comments regarding this item? Yep, please step forward and say your name here at the podium.
My name is Jose Rodriguez. I used to work at Troyani's law office, and my desk faced outside. I can tell you right now, there's no parking whatsoever in that area. So unless they're planning on building a parking lot, but even then, a lot of our clients would park on the private property of the BBVA Compass. So parking's a big thing. Another thing too is Troyani's office is also a historic home. And so I believe building a snack shop next to a historic home kind of, I don't know, it doesn't look very nice, especially with, we're trying to keep our historic district looking. Those are my main
No,
two
but that's the
concerns.
one thing that's kind of happy. About the parking, well, we know that there's no parking in downtown anyway, but if they can provide sufficient parking for what they're gonna do, there's not much we can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, it still has to, it's like
Yeah.
they're saying, it still has to pass, site review. They're gonna make sure to determine that it's got sufficient parking for whatever size, building is gonna go on there. It has to fit, has to still meet any, all the city guidelines that every other building downtown or uptown or all around town has. I guess what I've said before, the time that I've been here, is it's hard, especially from my perspective, on vacant lots that have been sitting around Brownsville for so many years that nothing has happened to them. They've been for sale. People have the opportunity to purchase them. People often don't, but then we'll get, times like this where people will then, voice their concern regarding what's going to go up there after somebody does buy it and is trying to, develop the land themselves. Now, we may not always agree with, what goes on those lots. What I agree with you that a snack shop is, the best option for, to go next to a historic home. I wouldn't, but I'm not the one that purchased the land, and is choosing the, best and best option for monetizing it. So, I apologize. From my perspective, it's hard for us to make those kind of decisions.
I understand. And there's also like all the retail that's around there, they're like out of the old homes that are there. I believe from remembrance is that the actual buildings don't start until you reach downtown, which is around 8th Street over. So, I mean, actual like construction of like shops or something like that, I don't believe there's any around that area.
But
Yeah.
isn't the restaurant that,
There had been a restaurant operating, I think, on the other side of Troyani's office. No? Wasn't there a restaurant, or is there still a restaurant that is operating on that other side?
I don't remember of a restaurant. I know that if you drive by, most of it is that they're buildings, like even,
a lot of them is residential, but
yeah.
I mean, there's not really, like he says, something has to happen with those lots.
And not to mention, I mean, just because I remember our neighbors, we had a lot of clients that would come in. We would get yelled at periodically because they were upset that we were parking, even though it's public property.
Sure.
They didn't have any parking because people would park there.
And we get that complaint often, and unfortunately, we wind up using that's not our, department, parking and whatnot, and you're right, it is public parking as long as it's not, in a red zone or yellow. But it's hard, for us, especially even on a traffic, issue, I mean, it's downtown also, it's there's gonna be cars, there's been cars. This isn't, something like this on a property that small is not gonna, boost the traffic volume all that much.
Okay. Well, no, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you though for coming in.
For what it's worth, Mr. Chairman, I agree with the gentleman. I mean, I think, Mr. Tran has done a wonderful job at, getting that house to where it's at. I don't know what the parameters are that the city uses to approve something like that. I think it's a site for sore eyes, putting a snack, retail shop or snack shop right next to that.
But then if you go further down the road, you have most of the historical buildings are downtown, there are stores next to them and restaurants next to them, so it's the same thing.
Yeah. But it kind of reminds me of, and just to mention it is, downtown is, I think there's a plan to revitalize, and there's a lot of historical, places and that could be absolutely beautiful. But you see I drive through here every day to get to my office, and you see the Santísima Muerte in the middle of a window,
Yeah.
right in the middle of smack downtown Brownsville, across the street from actually Market Square.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's just,
What to sell?
the thing that we've come across so many times, and I remember most, recently is, like development on West Alton Glore. When, a lot of that was residential back in the day. I remember when, that West Alton Glore was way outside the city limits. Just dated myself there. But when we've been rezoning that to commercial, it's hard to not do that, especially with vacant land. And like on this, we come across it again, vacant land that's been sitting there for sale for a long, long time, but no one has bought it until one person finally decided to develop it. So I agree with you as far as it could potentially be an eyesore, but it is what it is.
And I just want to point out that since it will have to go through the site
Yeah.
review process, and the site review process will require for it to go through historic preservation.
That's right,
Because
yes.
it's within the historic
Good
overlay.
point.
So concerns such as that will be weeded out as we go through the process. And that will, like I said, will be through the site review process once.
That's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. That is historic district, so it is gonna go before them, and good luck to the applicant.
Right.
Going before the historic board. So, okay.
So,
Public comment. Any other comments regarding this project? All right, I will entertain a motion to close public comment.
I do.
All right, I have a motion to close public. Second from Mr. Troy. All in favor say aye.
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 And I so move to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
I will second that.
I have a second from Ms. Vanessa. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Best of luck to you guys. All right, and motion to adjourn, second.
No,
We still
we have one more item.
That's right. Look at Mr. Whittemore.
I see him.
Oh, you're
out-
jumping the gun,
I see
man.
him out there. I see him out there.
Yeah, so this final item was gonna be presented by our director, Mr. Rick Vasquez. It's just to, it's basically to repeal and replace the existing commercial parking regulations for off-street parking with interim commercial parking regulations.
Trying to lighten the moment with-
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Commission. This is a request for you to conduct a public hearing and provide a recommendation to the City Commission on repealing and replacing our existing parking standards. The building official is out here and our plans reviewer. They're often criticized by the building community as our parking standards are too rigid and they're unable to approve projects if the project doesn't exactly meet a specific parking standard. And in the draft I provided you, in the column that's gray, that's the current city parking regulations, and if you look at them, they provide a very specific standard. You must meet one space per dwelling unit. You must meet one space per 100 square feet or 300 square feet. And if you're not able to meet that specific standard, then our plans reviewer is not able to approve your plans. And so what the draft does is it provides a couple of tools for a project to seek alternative parking compliance standards. So in going through the ordinance, you can use some of the on-street parking in front of your business to count towards your required parking. Currently, you're not able to do that.
I'm sorry, say that part one more time?
Under the draft ordinance, you'd be able to use the area in front of your business in the public right-of-way to count towards your required parking, as opposed to only using on-site parking to count towards your required parking.
Okay.
Okay? And that's one of the changes. The other would be we're establishing a minimum and a maximum. Another alternative strategy is to have joint use parking. So if your neighbor is an office that operates 8 to 5 and you're a restaurant where your peak may be 5 to 9, you could share that parking under an agreement, and we could calculate that shared parking under a joint use agreement to enable you to meet the required parking standard rather than requiring
Is this only for commercial?
well, I'm gonna
Residential too?
only for commercial on that type of use, not on residential. Unless it was a multifamily project, then it would qualify for that. It does provide provision for us to reduce required parking with some bike infrastructure placed on site as well. It does allow the staff to use the Institute of Transportation Engineers parking manual when a use is not identified in the code and a parking standard is not established, rather than having to deny the project or come back through the Planning Commission and the City Commission for approval. This would allow us to go to an industry standard manual and come up with a standard and allow that project to move forward. I already mentioned the shared parking and looking at different peak hour parking demand and how we would be able to share among abutting property owners.
I think that you're getting into some problems. Now, let's say if you're gonna ask the neighbor and myself, and she doesn't use that parking today or tomorrow, and somebody of his friend comes by and is gonna tell, hey, I wanna park over here, so you're gonna run me off? That kind of, to mix one with the other, I do not agree.
Yeah.
I would not agree on something like that.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen
If
automatically.
it's my parking, it's mine. If it's his, it's his. But you cannot mix one with the other.
Okay, let's live.
So
ahead.
it doesn't happen automatically. They would have to provide data to show us that there's shifts in demand for those particular parking spaces and that they could share that parking. You can see that happening a lot already on developments like along Pablo Casel, where there may not be enough parking during peak demand periods. People are either spilling into the street or they're going to the retail center across 2 streets and they're parking. And maybe it's not with permission currently by the current property owner. What we're saying is if you bring a project and you're not able to meet the required parking on site, if you can get together with your neighbor and flush out an agreement that you would submit to the city and it become part of the permit, that then we'd be able to move that project forward and not just kick it out and say you're unable to meet the required parking. So is this in the packet?
So it was in the packet? No.
Okay. So with that, if you have some reservations, we can bring it back to you next month. It should have been in your packets. But what the way the ordinance is set up is we give you a comparison between a recommendation that we have, what the current parking standard is in the city of Brownsville. We have another column where the Institute of Transportation Engineers has made some recommendations on some changes, given changes in retail, the way it operates now. And then there's the Urban Land Institute's requirements, and they're a more private enterprise-oriented land development group, and so their standard may be a little less than the Institute of Transportation Engineers. So it gives us a better benchmark against what we actually have on the books today. And so what I'd like to do is have the commission make a recommendation up to the city commission at some point once you're satisfied with that table. But since it's not in your packet, we'll bring it back to you at your next meeting, and we'll work out those errors in the department.
Yeah, I would, just to be clear, this is all part of us to ensure that, or at least to help with these commercial development projects, or even if it's a residential, where if it makes a little bit more sense to use a different standard, that we can continue moving something forward rather than just squashing it and scrapping that project.
That's correct.
We can then speed up the process, promote more of the development of this, of commercial, residential, of the land throughout Brownsville. That's what the point of this is.
It does. It
is.
requires, we'll obviously have a minimum and a maximum standard, but if you're able to submit a parking study, and that study bears out that there is additional supply within the surrounding area, and you can either contractually obligate that supply, or if it's on-street supply in the public right-of-way, that can count towards your required parking, and we'd be able to move your project forward.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the things that I have said before, and then nothing is done about it, is when you build a home, let's say with a one-car garage, then they tell it to the drive. Instead of having what is like 12 or 14 feet to drive to the garage, why can't we tell them to make it 18 feet where 2 cars can stay on that? And that will take away a car that will sit on the street. And that does not cost even $200 to do that.
Yeah, and so that's exactly what this type of stuff has the ability of doing.
This type of stuff, I said it before to the city.
So now they listen to you.
They're not accepting.
Yeah, congratulations, thank you.
That's
Now,
correct.
We
Actually,
are developers, so we make subdivisions.
Yeah.
And I've said, why don't you make the drive-in for, what is like 12 feet? What does it, your builder, when you drive in, it's 12 feet wide?
Which one?
that's right.
Like to a car garage.
The 2 cars, 18,
No, one car
They should be.
garage.
about 10.
10, okay, make him pay 20.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
it's
can
possible.
put in 2 cars, and the second car doesn't have to stay in the street.
So we're not gonna be, we're not gonna be voting.
No, we're going to bring it back for,
Yeah.
what you could do is conduct your public hearing and close your public hearing, and I
Sure.
can bring you back a final
Okay.
draft. But,
Okay.
I just wanted to point out, Mr. Galonsky, under the residential, currently our ordinance requires 1 parking space per unit. And ULI is recommending that move up
Most
to
of the
1.5.
people have 2 and 3 cars.
And
One and a half.
1.5. And so our recommendation is the 1.5 as opposed to the 1 per unit.
Okay, well, we will at least, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If there's any comments regarding this item.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
I have a motion to close public hearing. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. Galonsky. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, and then no vote. You'll bring this back.
So next month, you'll have that in our, you gave us some reading the last time we were here.
It was this.
Okay.
Yeah, it was this. But we'll put it in your packet and make sure
Were
you have
there
time.
any changes? Because
No.
I do not agree.
I'll make
with
a
that.
motion to approve. I actually
I'll
didn't.
talk Let's talk about this afterwards. Okay, so then that is the last item. I entertain a motion to,
Are we going to table it?
close.
No, we don't need to do anything on it.
Okay.
No, just.
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
good.
Eric, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Galonsky, do I have a second?
Troy.
I
Second.
second it.
All right, Vanessa,
Vanessa,
seconds.
put
All in favor,
Vanessa
say aye.
in there. Aye.
Motion adjourned,
Happy
or
New Year,
meeting adjourned.
everybody.
Se van a venir matando